All right, so Three Ninjas Podcast, Domino, Hesh, Jones, Bobby, and right now in the dojo we have two members of the Black Power Rangers comedy trope. I want to say the second year doing it. Right now in the dojo we have Mills Maxwell Jr. and Brandy Roberts. Guys, how you doing?
What's going on, Domino? What's going on, Hesh?
Hey, how you doing?
Brandy, how you doing?
What's up? How y'all doing? Appreciate y'all for having us.
Get you. I'm gonna get you talking early. So, like I said in the beginning, Black Power Rangers comedy tour is going down. It's starting on July 26th in Raleigh, North Carolina. So, I guess Wills, just let us know, what is the Black Power Rangers comedy tour?
This is year two of us doing this. This is basically we're young Black comics from across the Southeast. You know, Brandy and myself are in North Carolina. We got some comics from South Carolina, Georgia, who travel with us. And we're basically just trying to go around and make people laugh, but also we use our comedy to talk about what it's like to be us. So that's specifically was the point of the tour, is like it's Black Power. So that's where Black Power Rangers came from, because we're producing it, we're putting it on ourselves, we're booking ourselves on it. But we're going place to place and just letting audiences know in a funny way, you know, what it's like to be a Black person growing up in the South, living in the South, having all these different history and different resistance to the history around you all the time. So yeah, and we're kicking off in Raleigh, July 26th. We're going to be at Watson Ward, which is a dope space that Brandy's been running a really successful showcase out of. So that's going to be our first show this year. It's kind of be Brandy up welcoming us into her space as we get it kicked off.
Okay, dope. Now, why the name Black Power Rangers? Like, where's the geek aspect? Like who's the geek in the group or geeks?
We're all various levels of geekiness. I think the scale goes from Brandy to me, Brandy being the coolest. And it's just different. Cordero and Gerard fall somewhere in there, and then but yeah, there were so many different names I was throwing around for like trying to come up with the tour. What was really important about the name was I didn't want it to just be the name of the tour. I wanted it to be the name of the brand and what we're doing, because we're doing this. We're Black Power Rangers. We're going to keep growing the network as we go place to place. We add guest comics on, and they're now Black Power Rangers too. And now we all know each other. So kind of, I wanted it to be the name of a network of Black comics who know each other and can book each other and support each other, but also a network that supports Black owned businesses. So whether it's we're doing it there as a venue, or we're doing a nearby venue and we're promoting you as a sponsor or as a partner with the tour, we wanted it to be a thing that goes across the country and uplifts Black owned businesses from place to place. So I knew all of that before I had the name. So I knew that the idea was this is about Black Power. And I kept coming up with all these other names. Like for a while, the tour was like, Young, Gifted, and Black, or There Goes the Neighborhood. Like not bad names, but names that were absolutely taken. You look those up, there are 5 different comedy tours named that. And I kept saying Black Power over and over again until I said Black Power Rangers. And I was like, oh yeah, no, that's what we're doing. That's what it is. We knew when it was morphin' time. We grew up with it, and like it's like kind of a thing that kind of encompasses like all that level of nostalgia and for what we're doing.
Okay, cool. Because I know Gerard and Cordero, they do a podcast called Negro Jumps, so shout out to them. And I know they're in like the anime space, so you seem to be entrenched in everything. Like you said, the scale is from you to Brandy. So Brandy, you don't got nothing to do with this geek shit. You don't fuck with no Power Rangers. You don't know Ninja Turtles.
No. That's not what he's saying. I actually grew up. I had Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon, all that shit.
Oh,
I just have a little swag about myself.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
yeah.
No, Brandy's
yeah.
Oh, okay. So you the one that like used to play with all the Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff like that, but you could still chill with the jocks and the cool people.
Yeah.
Okay. She's a nerd. She's just the coolest of us. She's
the coolest of the nerds.
She can pass for cool, you know? Like I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Not pass for
Assimilate with the normal people.
Yeah, with the normal people, with the normies.
Yeah, I watch Dragon Ball Z, all that. Yeah, I know all about all that. I don't like stalk the Reddit threads and shit, but like I know the majority of what's going on. I watch anime. I watch it with the dub. You know what I mean? I like it. So yeah, I can weave in between conversations between casual blackness and nerd shit.
Okay, got you. Now, Will, this is something that you started. Like, when was the conception of this idea? I guess that you wanted to, do a tour yourself, and get like-minded black comics or comics that you're friends with just on tour with you.
So we started this. Our first tour was October of last year. So it's not even been a year yet. We're already going to do it again. We did 4 cities, and it was basically from the time, we thought of the name to the time we did the first show was maybe 4 weeks. So we did it. I asked Brandy to join, and that was like a total fingers crossed, like, man, because like Brandy I've seen for years, and Brandy started funny and she only got funnier the more I saw her. So it was like, if I can find 4 days in a row where Brandy's not working and she can get on the road with us, this is gonna be real lucky. And fortunately she said yeah. So from the time like we thought of it, got Brandy, Gerard, and Cordero on board. That was the last year was just the 4 of us. To the time we did the first show was like 4 weeks. So we just very manically like found venues, started doing the press, hit the road. And it was very fun, but also very surprising, like how warm the reaction was to that. Like people came out, which was very affirming. And what was also dope was white people came out. I was about to say, yeah. It's like black folks came out, but like, yeah, white people came out, which is, the few interviews we did last year, people would ask, like someone asked me, like, is the point of this tour to educate white people? No. I have no interest in educating white people. I'm going to make folks laugh. I hope you laugh and you can rock with me, whoever you are. But I don't have the time, the energy, the qualifications to go around educating white folks. This is just to, get people to hang out with us and have fun and learn what it's like to be us,
Yeah, that's kind of why I like the tour, because like, yeah, it's Black Power Rangers, but in reality, the whole premise to me is to give platform for Black voices. Like, if you know anything about comedy and art, like as the internet has expanded, we have less and less opportunities to be effective in creative spaces. So that was my whole thing. Like, yeah, we talk about some of the regular stuff, like, the oppression, but like we also have our off the wall thoughts about like, just general stuff. Like I got a joke about cryptocurrency. I think cryptocurrency is stupid, and I always want to talk about that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so like I have a lot of hypothetical stuff, so it just gives us a space to like give that away and like have it be received. To just be like, okay, yeah, that was funny. That was a different perspective, and it also like attacks the myth that Black people are one monolith. Like none of us have the same style. Even the guest comedians, none of us have the same style. None of us have the same material, but we just all are Black. So I think that's the important thing, to let them know that, hey, we do have range, we do have something to say, and we can be engaging. So that's why I kind of really fuck with the whole thing. So,
okay, dope.
It's been cool.
Dope. Now, Brandy, you've been doing comedy for about 7 years, right? All right. Now, what got you into comedy? Or stand-up,
honestly, yeah. Well, I guess you could say, as a Black person, we just have a natural gift to be funny. Dealing with trauma in life, we just learn how to fucking laugh. Like that's just what it is. But as far as stand-up, I didn't really get the push to do it until I dropped out of college in 2015. Then I moved to Raleigh. I was in Greensboro. And I started working at this job. I was serving at Chili's, and I had this manager. His name was Ronnie. He like a father figure or whatever. He used to be like, Brandy, you funny. You need to do comedy. I'd be like, yeah, whatever, Ronnie. Give me my food. Go check out my table at 81. Make sure they're not complaining. And so, like, when I was dating a girl at the time, and then we ended up breaking up or whatever. But like before I ended up quitting working Chili's the first time, Ronnie was like, you need to go do stand up. And so, like, at that moment, I was like, yeah, I'm going to just go try it. And the girl went with me. And I bombed terribly, like, as far as, like, stand-up goes and, like, what you were thinking of the correct sense.
Right.
I bombed because I didn't know what set up punchline was.
Set
I was
up
nervous.
punchline premise and all that.
Yeah, but I failed, but I liked it because for one, growing up, I didn't feel like I got a space to express myself, enough. So it gave me the freedom to say, "Oh, my thoughts matter for X amount of minutes, and y'all gotta listen." And like that was just life changing for me. So then I was like, "Okay, well, I'm not good at it yet, but I do have a sense of humor. How can I mold that into something?" And then, we just failed until we got here.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Now, were there any comics that you were looking up to?
Yeah. I look at a lot of comedians. Like I like Jim Carrey just for his theatrics. He's not a stand-up, but he has that energy on
Yeah, the
stage.
physical comedy.
Yeah, the Bernie Macs, and I love Ali Sadiq. His new special is actually fantastic. If you get a chance,
Amazing.
I like the Wanda Sykes, the Marsha Hepburns. Marsha Warfields. You know what I'm saying? I even like some white comics. I like Bill Burr. I like it just depends. Like whatever's funny is funny. I don't have one comedian. I'm just like that is the one that changed my life. Nah, I just appreciated laughter and it being crafted well. So I think I've always had a deep appreciation for the art form for a long time. I just didn't really like see how much I was inspired by each of these people individually until I started doing it for real.
Okay. Now, question for both of you. I like to ask comics: is there a such thing as too far or too dark when it comes to jokes?
I think my thing's always been if it's funny, then no. Like, 'cause that's all. That's my only rule for that. Is like I've heard people joke about a lot of things, but if they're funny, if they make me laugh, then I'm cool with it.
Right.
The darker you're going, it just makes it harder for you. Like the darker you're going, the more serious the topic, the funnier it has to be. Like, I've had people who like in the middle of 2020 where I'm like, my mental health is not great. I'm really upset and sad and angry. I had people who were able to make me laugh at this constant thing of like cops killing us. Like, I've had people who were able to do jokes about that and make me laugh. And I had people who tried. And if it wasn't funny, if it failed, then, now you just offended me. But my wife always gets on me for this because I always say like something an offensive comic did, and I'm like, and the worst part was it wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny. Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it is really being funny because like even me, like we are a marginalized group, but like if it's funny, like definitely say it, but it needs to have, for one, some validity. Like don't just be saying obscure and obnoxious things for the laugh to be edgy, but make sure that it has some kind of root in something that actually is valid. But in the age of cancel culture, I would say, yeah, they've made this policing of like what you can and can't say. And people forget that comedy is freedom of speech. Like that is Amendment 1. Like, get over it.
Right. Yeah. I feel like comics don't give a fuck though. I feel like comics where it's like they like to toe the line and then whatever happens, but you're not going. You're not gonna put a chokehold on my funny, on the shit I find funny.
Majority are that way, but there's a new wave of comedians that like try to be PC and all that shit, and they're not funny. So eventually, I think that they will dwindle down. But yeah, it's definitely out here more than you think since the pandemic.
Yeah, I think what's like counts is like it really is a thing of like if you're funny, you will get to stick around. Like if audiences like you, or if you're having fun, whatever, you will get to stick around and you will get to keep doing this. So that's the kind of thing I like about it. Is there are comics who I've seen say like out of pocket, like offensive stuff, and not find their audience, and then they kind of die out, or they find their niche audience, and then they become like super successful MAGA comics, which that's they make money. Or they try from the opposite perspective where they're not saying anything. They're not saying anything because they don't want to push any buttons or like, offend anybody. And if you're not saying anything, then you're going to have the same thing where it's like your ceiling is this high. Yeah. Like your ceiling, like there's going to be a point where you won't be able to proceed. So I don't want to say like quite like meritocracy, but there is like a thing of like, if audiences aren't with you, you will not keep doing this. You will not be able to stay in this.
Right. Now, Wills, you've been doing this for what, about 12 years, 13 years?
Yeah, I started 2010 and I started doing it in earnest 2013. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Now,
like
what got you
2010,
into comedy?
I always knew I wanted to do it. Like, when I was a kid, I'd watch like Showtime at the Apollo and like Flip Wilson show, Carol Burnett show, and like all these old school TV things where it was like, the comic wears a suit and gets on stage and says funny stuff. And like, I was always like, oh, I want to like do that. I'm that person, like I'd watch like, Letterman and the late night shows and love the monologues. And like from the time I was a kid, like I just kind of knew like that's who I identified with and that's what I wanted to do. But as a kid, it also felt like a thing. It didn't feel like a thing that you should want to be. Like it never felt like it was okay to want to be a comedian. So like I started like when I got to college, like when I was leaving for college, and just it was the very first time I did it, like the very first time I got a laugh. It was like this feeling of like, oh yeah, I was right. It was like such like immediate affirmation and like this like it was like this thing of like, oh yeah, this is my identity.
Right.
Like it was like I do know who I am. I'm the guy who does this. I was right about that.
Okay.
But yeah, I think just identifying with all those guys I saw on TV growing up just kind of led to this.
Okay. Now tell me about your worst bomb.
I took over. I have a story immediately because people ask that story, and it used to be I had to think about it. Now I do because this one was that bad.
Let me know, please.
I took over a gig for somebody last minute who like they didn't. They were just like, hey, I'm doing a feature spot. Can you do this feature spot for me? It's in Wilmington, and I was like, yeah, sure. I get there. It's like a club for folks like it's like 35 and up or whatever. And I get there and I find out I'm the host. So I didn't know I was hosting. So that's already got me a little thrown off. And the owner's like talking to me real quick. It's like, okay, you're gonna host when you get up there, bring Charles up, do your 15 and then bring the headliner up. And the headliner was a dude who had done Def Jam, and I wish I remembered his name right now, but I don't. But it was like he was in Wilmington. He was in Wilmington for it. And I'm like, who's Charles? She's like, you don't just say Charles. Just get up there and say Charles. He'll come up. And she's like, he's going to sing 2 songs. So I get up and I'm like, all right, everybody, here to sing 2 original songs. Give it up for Charles. Charles stands up. Charles, an older dude wearing bow tie, suit. He gets up and he's like, he says to me, they're not original songs. And then he takes the mic and he goes, well, hello, Dolly, welcome back. He does a Louis Armstrong impression for 2 songs.
I was about to say, was it Louis Armstrong?
Like that's the only nigga I know with that voice. The guy
Louis, that's you.
He did a perfect Louis Armstrong impression. He's saying, hello, Dolly. He brought the house down with What a Wonderful World. And like the audience is losing it. The same audience that was just like staring at me stone-faced.
Right.
Losing it for Charles. So Charles gets done, and I'm like, look, y'all, I know I said original songs, and I'm going to stand by that. Louis Armstrong stole those songs from Charles. Those are Charles's songs, as far as I'm concerned. No reaction from the audience. Nothing. Just stare at me. So I'm like, all right. So then I start my jokes. No reaction the whole time. They're not heckling. They're not being loud. It's just a room full of like 40-year-old black folks just staring at me. And like just looking at me like, why did his parents let him leave the house? Like just looking at me. And then it's going so bad. I'd never had this happen before. The booker got up in the back of the room and started waving a white towel to get me off the stage.
Yo.
He's had enough.
She had it's done.
Not even a courtesy of a life, a fucking towel.
A towel. She's waving a white towel at me. So I'm like, all right, give it up for your headliner. And he comes up, immediately starts killing, immediately starts crushing. Doesn't even say anything about me. He's just crushing and doing his thing. And he gets like 5 minutes into it. And then his phone goes off in the back of the room. And he goes, oh my gosh, that boy brought me up so early. I didn't even turn my phone off. Hey, do you have another 5 minutes? I didn't finish my food. I got to turn my phone off. I got to get situated. Just do another. Don't just come back up here. Don't be so nervous this time. What's me nervous, everybody? Just come up here. Just don't be so nervous this time.
Yeah, damn.
Do another 5 minutes. So then I went and I bombed for another 5 minutes while he.
Fuck. Now, usually, with some people that, that would deter them from actually doing comedy. What did that do for you, or what did that teach you?
Oh, that was a canon event. That that messed with me. It made me look at how I was doing everything. Because I was in the middle of, I did that, and I was also in the middle of doing 2 feature sets at my home club. So I just done 1 set at my home club, the place where I basically learned to do this, crushed with the same feature set, went and did this show, bombed with the same set, went back to my home club and did the second show. And I told a joke that had just gotten nothing in that other room. And it was like, I got an applause break from it. Like people laughed and people were clapping. And I remember while people were clapping thinking, I am profoundly sad. Like this this applauses mean nothing to me. Like, like when you start playing 2K, like maybe the first time you go from like pro to all-star level, like you start thinking you're good at 2K.
Yeah,
and
you
then
go
you
from
pick it up
65
a
to
level.
70 something. You're like, yeah, I can do this shit. And then you play a nigga that's 99. It's like, nah, this ain't for me, dog.
Exactly. That's what that night was for me. That night was, okay, we're gonna have to like reconstruct all of this because you've been taught a certain way and it's not gonna fly everywhere. But no, that was that was the most important bomb of my life.
Okay. Brandy, what about you?
I don't have one as embellished as that, but the one that comes to my mind, the one that comes to my mind is like I did 40 minutes in a room full of silence, and that was so strange. Like it wasn't just me; like all of us bombed, which was wild. Because like you would think that incrementally it would get better the host. Yeah, the host set is like 50-50 chance if it's good or not. Nobody really cares. Just keep the show going. But when the feature went up and they like were actually cute and they still didn't get nothing, I'm like, okay, what are y'all really here for? So it was strange because it was a mixed room. It was young people, it was old people, it was black people, it was white people, it was drug addicts, it was alcoholics. But they were not, and I have a range of material, like something will get you, and like they just weren't doing it. But what I did learn from that though was and you know what's bad, even when the guy that books you on the show is like, hey man, I don't know what happened, but appreciate you for coming out. We're still gonna pay you. We're still gonna pay you, but sometimes it's a good crowd, sometimes it's not. And it's just like that doesn't make me feel better at all. I mean, I should be able to wield the energy of the room, and I wasn't able to do that. But yeah, folks, the one thing I learned about that was that I actually do have the time. Like even with no laughs, I got like 40 minutes of material. So, and I did it all. I was like, I'm not leaving. I was like, I'm not leaving.
Fuck yeah, I'm doing everything.
Yeah.
That's mad impressive to me. That's way more impressive to me than if they were into it. That's awesome.
But it's not good when you start sweating and the lights are hitting your ass and you like, you trying to like act like it's not fucking with you, but it is. My confidence, I was shot for like a week after that. I was like, yeah, I don't want to do no mics or nothing. I don't even want to think about a joke. Don't even tell me ha. Like, leave me alone. I'm about to do spoken word.
The butterflies.
Yeah.
When I'm on a lineup or whatever, Brandy, do you get like this? Because when I'm on a lineup and people are bombing before me, I'm watching people bomb. I'm still thinking, I'll get them though. Like it's still like a delusional thing.
Bruh, I feel like I was like, yeah, no, they gonna like me. I was like, okay, ain't nobody else made them laugh. I got this. I just thought the venue, I was like, the venue looked like we in here playing Dungeons and Dragons and shit. Like we had a meet up for Dungeons and Dragons. They was not buying it, bruh.
The funny shit? That was my next question. Where's the weirdest place you've done stand-up?
That's a good question. Because I've been doing it for a while, and like when you're new, like, oh, we're in a bookstore. This is weird. Like,
we're in a fucking library. We're in the back of a bar.
Yeah,
That holds 10 people.
What a Whole Foods.
Yeah.
My
You bring it back
mother-in-law
a food
tried to.
truck?
Yeah. Like it all seems weird, and now I'm like, yeah, no, I'll do that. My mother-in-law tried to prank me with a fake gig that was taking place in a barn, like an active barn. She sent me like a fake email, but I was still thinking like, no, I
No,
could make this work. Yeah,
Yeah, I got this shit.
I got this.
Right next
put
to
the
the cows. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
cow to the left, the chickens over there. We good.
I
let's
ended
keep
up doing
everybody
something
upwind.
Yeah.
week. It ended up being really cool, but it was like definitely weird. Like I got booked to do like a camp out thing, and like it took me like 3 miles off the back of like off the road, and I had to check in with like a white person in the gate. At first, they're like, "Yeah, you just go right there," and it was dark, and I'm riding around. I don't see no lights, it's obviously no Wi-Fi out here. I'm like, yo, this is it right here. I'm going long term comedy saga or some shit. Like, man, it actually ended up being really good. It was like a lot of people out there doing acid and shit. So but it was like all the way in the back, like on a old plantation, like a campground type shit. And like I didn't really know if I was gonna make it back for real.
That
Them
is
type of comedy spots,
terrifying.
them just be.
That's brave.
Yeah,
It was brave.
I don't know if I would have did some shit like that, where it's like, hey, there's no lights on this fucking road. Like my first sign of like this, something's fucked up. Like there's no street lights on this road. It's like, nah, we ain't like
Yes.
niggas like we ain't supposed to be over here. Like, nah, I don't want to be over
Yes.
here. Now, Brandy, tell me about culture enthusiasts. What is that?
Culture Enthusiast is my small business, my brand. Basically, we are lovers of culture. I feel like I love art more than just comedy. So, like, music was my first love. I used to play trumpet, DJ a little bit, used to rap, etc. But like,
I feel like every
it was
nigga
just
used to rap. Every nigga got one verse. Will's got
my
a verse.
first
Hesh got a verse.
song-
Everybody got one verse in a tuck where they wrote. They tried it.
I ain't got no verse.
My first song was called Ice Ice Breaker.
I'm glad you quit.
Me and my cousins made a mixtape on a karaoke machine, and we called ourselves Northside Freestyle Balls, but we live in North Carolina. Like, what are we talking about?
The long ass rap group name.
Terrible. It was NFB for short, but like, who is trying to? Nobody's listening to that at all. Northside Freestyle Ballers. We played too much
freestyle ball.
Street Volume
Freestyle
1.
baller.
Y'all threw every suffix on that.
They got no with no side freestyle. We ball.
Terrible.
Side ballers.
Terrible marketing.
Pimp squad.
Horrible marketing, but the Culture Enthusiast is my brand. That's like I produce events through that, and it's a media company. Eventually, I want to turn it into a production, but that's kind of what it is right now.
Okay. All right, now, Wills, how did you come up with, I guess, who was going to be a part of the tour? You know, like Cordero and Rod, and I forgot the other brother's name.
This year we got Matt White and Jordan Sentry. I got real lucky both years in that the folks I reached out to first said yeah, because I didn't really like. There are other names, and there are other people that I hope eventually I get to have on a show or have on the lineup in some way. But like, it really was a matter of like, well, if I could just ideally, Gerard I've known for ages, and like Gerard and I have been talking about like, we're gonna, like, from the time Gerard started, we've been talking like, we're gonna tour together, we're gonna go on the road together. And same with Cordero. Like, Cordero was in Wilmington doing comedy when I started. So it was those two. It was just like, you know, and they both live in New York now. So it was just like, well, any excuse I can have to like get them to come back down this way and like, you know, do some shows in the South, that'd be great. Brandy, like I've done a show with Brandy at Dead Crow in Wilmington maybe a week before I started putting the tour together. Like, I had just worked with her, and I'd seen Brandy several times. Like, we'd done like a few different random shows like throughout North Carolina, but like I said, she started funny, and like every time I see Brandy, it was like damn, Brandy's only getting funnier. Like she's only like that's not common with people. That's not common with comics. It's like, there's no level off with her. So it was like, well, if I can be with anybody, I'm gonna try Brandy. This year, Matt White's joining us, which is dope because Matt was the one who gave me a bunch of advice when I started, and like, he lived in Wilmington for a while, so he was kind of like Wilmington comedy dad, and now he's in Raleigh, so now he's like Raleigh comedy dad, but like he's a pro, he's an absolute pro, and so like and Brandy was the one who kind of let me know, it was like, I think Matt would want to do this, which was a shock to me because I would have never asked him. I would have been too embarrassed to even like approach him with like, do you want to do like, so just hearing that he even wanted to be a part of it was super affirming to me. And Jordan Sentry, like super dope, hilarious guy out of Charlotte. Folks might have seen he does really funny music video commentary videos on Instagram and TikTok where he just does like everything wrong with or random observations of like and breaks down different music videos. Last year, Jordan was our guest comic in Charlotte, and he kicked off. He was the first comic on the very first show of the tour, and he did great. He crushed, and I already knew that about him. I already knew he was a great comic, but it was just like, all right, next time we do this, he needs to be on the road with us. He doesn't need to just be a guest comic. He needs to be coming around and doing this with us. So that's kind of like the hope is like every time we do it, we add stops, we rotate lineups, we add comics, and we keep bringing on more guest comics and introducing more folks on, just kind of figuring out like different ways to grow up. My ideal thing for this is like it keeps growing as a brand and as a movement, like Black Power Rangers comics, where I like, there's a point where there's like Black Power Rangers tours going on. I'm not on them. I'm not producing them. Like, this is just like, we've grown the network to the point where like, people know the name and they know quality. They know that's going to be a quality show they got to check out. So
kind of like a don't tell or a prohibition comedy rather.
Okay.
Right, exactly. Where it's like a name and a brand. It's like every time you see it's going to be it might be a different lineup, but it's going to be a good show.
Good.
But it's black.
It is
black as shit.
And we're not. That was another thing, was just like, I lived in a town with Cordero and Gerard for years, and I think I was on a lineup with them maybe like twice ever. Like, that was just a thing where it's just like, if I want to be on a lineup with Brandy and Gerard at the same time, that's a show I'm gonna have to book. If I want to be on a lineup with all these people at the same time, I'm just gonna have to make that happen. So that's been a really cool part of this.
Why is that?
We are the affirmative action. One, you get one diversity.
Yeah, so they just don't put all the black people together. Is that what it is?
Nah, no.
Because then it's a black show, and no one ever says it's a white show. No one's ever like, oh no, we put 3 white guys, we put 3 white brown hair dudes on the same show. Like, that never happens. But it's you put like more than one of us on a show, then it's like, oops, all Negroes.
It's
like, it's just.
That was my next question, which is funny. It was like, have you had any pushback with, the thing with the theme being black, being in front of everything, like Black Power Rangers comedy?
Nothing that matters.
Oh,
like,
gotcha.
nothing that there's random comments that I will happily delete from people who are like, it's racist to only put one. It's like, you are an egg. Why are
Power
you
Rangers was a diverse group?
No one that matters. And maybe there's some degree of shadow banning this year that always like just feels a little paranoid, because like last year we were Black Power Rangers and like folks weren't getting the Black Power part of it. They just got it was Power Rangers. So our stuff would get a lot more views and clicks and shares and everything last year. And this year I'm being like very deliberate with like, our logo is a fist holding a mic. Like, we put Black Power on a separate line, so it's by itself. Our tour colors are the Pan-African flag. Like, just being as deliberate as possible. Like, no, it's not just Black Power Rangers. It's Black Power Rangers. And
dot.
Yeah.
Ranger.
Yeah, but might have to throw some punctuation.
Yeah,
might have,
like Black Power. Dot. Rangers.
And it feels like this year the engagement isn't as high as it was last year. So, but that's always a tough thing to call out without just feeling paranoid about it. Like, am I being shadow banned? Is this what's happening? But yeah, no criticism that matters.
Okay. Now, what made you want to go the independent route and I guess start your own tour? Was it like, I guess, lack of being booked? Was it just out of desperation? Like, what, just want to own your own thing? Like, what was it?
I think just like, yeah, wanting to own it ourselves, and also just the realization that like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and touring is a thing I've wanted to do for a long time. Last year was my first ever tour. Like I started doing mics and shows and all that in 2013. I didn't go do my first tour until 2022. So it's just kind of this realization of like, there's no waiting for stuff to come to you. Like there's nothing happens just because you want it to happen. Just kind of like that realization is like, I want to work with Brandy. It's like, well, I'm gonna have to book a show and put a show and make it happen. Like, so you know, there's getting different gigs and different like, you know, funny business and all these like different like featuring gigs for all these other guys, but it's just like, this is what I want to do. This is the ideal thing I want to do, and no one's ever gonna be like, hey, I put together an all black lineup of touring comics and they're all your friends, do you want to do it? Like I had to. So it's just that realization of like, nothing's gonna come just from waiting.
Right. Now, this isn't the first thing that you've created. You created things like Nintendo. You got What Did We Miss? You have Late Fear. Was Late Fear your first thing?
Late Fear was the very first thing, and that was a lot of fun. It was super ambitious. We did a live late night talk show in Wilmington for like 3.5 years. So we'd have a guest comic, a guest musician. I would come out and do a political monologue. We did that for like 3.5 years. And then I was doing What Did We Miss for 5 years, which was a comedy news segment on the local news. So folks in Wilmington who were up at 5:30, 6:30, whatever, got to see me do comedy once a week on the news. Yeah, those were fun. Those were the very first things.
Okay. Now my question is, why did it stop?
Late Fear stopped because it was when I started it, it was me and a bunch of my friends, including Matt White, who was like a writer on it. It was like a bunch of my friends like writing the show together and putting it on. And it was a very fun thing to do. And after a while, it's a lot of work because I was writing sketches, stand-up, monologue, and booking guests and editing the show and uploading it and promoting it all by myself. Damn. So it was a lot of work for me to do all by myself. The writing part of it would be fun because that would be the part where I do with other people. But then eventually, by the time we got to the final year of it, folks have moved to different cities. We've changed venues. We've changed time slots. And now I'm doing it all by myself now. And and for a while it was like, well, all of this is hard work, but it really was like my favorite hour of the week. Like once we got to the show itself was fun. Like I loved doing it. But there got to a point where like I woke up one morning and it was like Monday and the show's on like Thursday or whatever. And I was like, man, we got Late Fear this week. And I'm like, wait, no one's making me do this. like, I made this thing. Like if I'm at a point where I'm dreading that I've got to go do it again, then that's it. Why the fuck
are we doing it?
Yeah, right. So that last episode was dope because it was so many guests we had over the years, so many audience members from over the years. We did it in 2 different spots. People who came to our original spot came out for the last episode. And that really made me feel like I was getting out at the right time. And it really made me feel like that we really did do a thing. Because we did a final episode and nobody came, then it was like, I should have stopped this.
Long time ago. Now, you seem to have been, or I don't know if you still are, like a one-man band man. Like, did you not trust people with your idea, like with your baby? Like, can't nobody do this the way I wanted to be done?
With the talk show?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. I do feel like I kind of have like a bit of a control freak energy. So there is a bit of that. But I think it was just ultimately like because it was it was this thing that I'm getting more comfortable with now. But at the time, it was like, this is my idea. This is my thing that I really have the vision for. And for me to make it work with other people, I have to ask a lot from other people. And back then, I was not good at asking for people for things. So like for it to work, I needed to ask someone to come, record the show. I needed to ask somebody to come do tech. I needed to ask somebody to come help me write, to help me promote. I needed to ask people to come buy into this thing with me, which I, was never comfortable with. And over time, I got increasingly worse about it, to the point where I was doing it by myself because I was too in my head to ever ask somebody. So with this is with the tour, this is like a new territory for me, because I'm not doing it all by myself. The comics, like Brandy's here helping me promote right now. The comics are helping. They're booking folks and helping to promote. My wife's helping me do logistics and stuff. So now this is like a kind of growth thing where I'm like, all right, this is a thing I want to do. If it has to happen, it's not going to be, I have to be okay with asking, can you
help me? Nigga, help me.
Can you help me? Yeah.
Now, this is your 2-year anniversary that just passed, right?
That's right. You've done research. You have done.
You do.
I try. So how was married life treating you, and how is married life? Well, how does she like being married to a comic?
I think all of this part of it, like the tour part of it, and kind of the productivity side of it, she really engages with and really likes that part of it. Married life's been good. It's been good. She says that I don't give her credit for being funny. I'm a funny person and you never laugh. And I was like, I think you're funny. He's like, yeah, but you don't. It's because you're a comic.
She's not funny. She's not. Yo, you have to say that as the husband. If she ain't funny, you got your job.
Why my voice went up.
I got my job. Just the rules work here, I guess. I'd be funny. You do you.
Well, yeah, no, marriage is dope because it's this. It's this thing that I feel like I was kind of, to be honest, resistant about for a little bit, just because again, it involves it's collaboration. My life is a partnership now, and that's a thing that is dope now and was scary to me a few years ago. So no, I love it. It's been a good 2 years.
Now, is she in a lot of your jokes or?
No, she's in a few of them. She's in a few. I talk about my wife's white, so I do have jokes about what that's going to be like to eventually start a biracial family, what that's going to be like for me, and am I ready to I have jokes about that where I kind of talk about we're gonna have kids that are a different race than both of us, and what does that look like, and
look like
am I ready for that?
Look like something great, maybe. That's a lot of biracial motherfuckers that are amazing.
You might get Logic.
You can get Logic or you can get Mariah Carey.
They will have to write at least 116 in their life. I don't care what they look like. I will have
maybe an 8. How about
that?
that?
You write an 8.
Write an 8. If you get past the 8, you can talk.
You.
Now, Brandy, seeing that is a breakup, I guess, brought you to the stage. Is a lot of your life in your jokes, or do you incorporate a lot of your real life experiences in your jokes? Because they always say that comics, are some of the most depressed, saddest people in the world, so they gotta actually take their humor or take their pain and turn it into humor for you motherfuckers to laugh. So, Brandy, what's your style of comedy, or do you incorporate what are your jokes basically? What encompasses you on the stage?
I do give a little bit about myself. I talk about where I grew up. I talk about being in a religious family, being Black and Southern Baptist, being gay and struggling with that. My different relationships with women. I talk about some of the jobs I've had, just some of the struggles I have. Right now I don't have a car, so I have a joke about that. Which is doing pretty well right now, Wills. That joke is doing really well right now.
I'm excited.
But then I also have like jokes about just my takes on stuff. Like I do a lot of hypothetical observational stuff. Like I like to present an idea and I want the audience to understand how I think. If you can understand how I think, then you can go anywhere with me. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. So I really like doing that because it requires them to be engaged and utilize their imagination and just be silly. Cause like comedy, it's a huge responsibility, but we can't forget the fun of it. So like I do a little bit of everything. I don't think I have one style. Somebody asked me, they were like, how do you write your jokes? Like, I'm like, however it comes to me, that's how it comes. If it's a one-liner, I'm gonna do it. If it's an act out, I'll do it. If it's a story, I tell the story. So it just fits. It's weird because like I don't know. You start off with no material and then you end up living and then you just have material and you're like, how does this fit together? And that's just kind of what it is. But yeah, I talk about my identity a lot though.
Now, are you dating?
Like really fun hypothetical roads. Like I don't smoke, so I've never smoked with Brandy, but I've seen Brandy do stand up, so I feel like I've smoked with Brandy.
Right.
Like she will take
important.
you
on the journey.
Yeah.
Now, Brandy, are you dating right now?
Yeah, you could say that for lack of better words, but ain't nobody
Ain't nobody put a trigger yet. Ain't nobody worth snatching
nah.
up. Yeah.
Nah.
Now, when they find out you're a comedian, do they try to be funny or try to like? Is there a different approach once they find out that you do comedy?
Kinda. I feel like they push back because they realize I don't have a lot of free time. Like, like you're not.
Attention. Yeah.
It's like, well, this thing is always gonna be first. Can you accept that? Like, and that's just what it is. It's not even to be rude, but like, this thing has actually saved my life. I owe my whole being to it to feel fulfilled in life. You know what I mean? You are a great addition, but this is still going to be here before you, after you, and during you. Right. And like people, they really can't. For one, I don't think they can handle that, like the gravity of that. And some of them don't even really want to be material for real. They don't really want to be the joke. When the joke on you, but he's gonna be finding that shit funny.
That shit ain't funny. That shit was about me.
Yeah, I ain't even say your name, but I know it hurt you.
Yeah,
I know that shit was about. I'm the only one with stretch marks there.
Yeah. So it's a balancing, but I think eventually the more that I do it, like I'm getting a lot more attention now from women about it. Like I feel like you got to filter through that too, because like they like the attention of what I'm getting, so they want to see what they can get. So it's just a matter of waiting. I feel like I think a substantial relationship will come when it's time, but right now I'm so much on the up.
You focus
like I don't really, like
y'all
I
bitches
just
don't
can't.
distract me. I can't have that.
But sometimes I want it. Sometimes I want that distraction, and then
sometimes. The more you go out on the road, you'll get distraction. You just can't bring them.
I know.
Now, cultural enthusiasts. Now, how'd you build your team? Because, like we mentioned before, Wills was kind of like, I'm doing everything myself. Fuck everybody. Like, how'd you build your team when it comes to that?
Well, I actually started the Culture Enthusiast as a podcast, like before podcast was actually popular. Like I started my podcast in 2017. I was like, I want to do radio. I dropped out of college. How can I do radio? Let me make my own podcast. And that'll treat myself like it's a radio so I could sell it. You know what I'm saying? I'm making my own experience. I've always been that kind of person to like cultivate my own experience. Be like, well, I've already done this, even though I don't have the credentials. I've done the same thing you've done. And you know what I mean? And so I started that off with a co-host, and the premise of it was the premise of the brand is to entertain, inform, and inspire. So I wanted to do like a mixture of comedy, entertainment, highlight local artists as far as musicians, comedians even, and do like pop culture stuff. So kind of like what y'all do, I started off with a co-host, and then my co-host kind of fizzled out. I think it was like, honestly, we were friends, and I was dating someone and I broke up with somebody, and then like I feel like they were trying to shoot their shot after that, and like I was so focused on the creation of what we did that like I missed that whole thing. And she was like, I don't want to do this no more. So then I tried to pursue it by myself. But see, I'm the kind of person that if I'm doing something, for one, I like to do things with other people in mind, you know. And when it's all me, I'm like, first of all, that's boring to me. Even though you might think I have personality, that's a lot of work. I got to really pump it up and be like. And I was like, I'm gonna get burnt out, so I ended up dubbing the podcast, and then just kind of put that into like creation of shows and alternative comedy spaces, people that I felt like weren't, you know, being represented. But I do want to bring back the podcast or some form of like online content. I just don't know what yet, because like the internet and our phones listen to everything. So it's like you can't really have an original idea anymore, you know? Like that's like unique. So I don't want to fall into that. But like I am a control freak too. I'm a Virgo. So by nature, we feel like we know it all. And like I'm learning to relinquish that power. I do want to collaborate more. But I think people just aren't ready to collaborate with me in a sense. Like I think they're intimidated, which is weird to me because I'm very down to earth. I might seem like I'm not, but most of the
I don't
time
know. It
I'm
might
just
be
home.
you. Your fucking podcast host left. Now you say niggas don't want to work. I think it's you.
But that was because she was trying to be romantic. I wasn't trying to be romantic, you know. Not at the time, but like I low key kind of miss her now though. She been watching my shit. Low key.
Hey,
Yo, send that text out, man. It's all right. Enough time has passed.
Like,
How long has it been? You said you started in 2017 and probably what? Just about what 20?
2017.
Brandy, go get her.
I think she moved to Arizona. But the crazy thing is, the co-host that I had is the daughter of the comedian that gave me my first stage time, like on a show for real. Like I did a show at a community college out here, and so like I don't know. It's just kind of sticky
Man,
situation.
send that hey big head text, man. Come on.
Yo, I tried. It's so crazy. I tried to follow her. She had changed her Instagram and stuff, and she was on her mama live the other day. And I tried to follow her. She didn't even accept my request, but then she watched my Snapchat. So I'm like, okay, whatever, bro. I ain't got time.
Nah, she knows. She gotta let her marinate. Like I ain't gonna know. I miss her too. Yeah.
Brandy, we about to find you in a Velo flight to Arizona. You about to.
Yeah.
A Velo cheap too.
I'm scared. Them planes are like paper planes. I don't really want to be there. Them planes MIA was talking about.
I think with Spirit they make you help fly. Like you gotta flap your wings as you go through. Like, hey, keep pedaling, nigga.
It's like the bobsled. Push it in and jump
3
in.
races of Mario Kart to get your little pin and shit.
Now, Will, so Black Power Rangers comedy tour is right now it's in the South, really, and then like, you know, y'all traveled a little bit up north to like I guess Maryland, DC area.
Right.
You said that you want to expand it now. Are you thinking like nationwide? Are you thinking international? Are you thinking the South? You thinking like, are you trying to take over a region at a time, or you just like wherever I fit in?
We're trying to grow it like a company. So like however much, like last year we did 4 cities and 4 cities worked. So it's enough for us to try for 10 cities this year. And so like we're going to try to keep it as like a growing thing where it's like, yeah, we're going to go. We want to hit nationwide. We've had people in the Northeast who say come out this way. We've had people in the Pacific Northwest who say they want Black Power Ranger shows. So wherever there seems like there's an interest, and if it's possible, you know, that's the main thing. It's like we want to keep it growing and keep it growing. So that's like it's just sustaining growth. Like, but yeah, I think the vision for it is that it's nationwide. There's different Black Power Rangers, you know, branches and troops and lineups across the country, and like you know, people just kind of feel empowered to be like, you know, we're part of the brand and we're going to put on a show, we're going to put on a tour. You know, like, you know, Mighty Morphin started Mighty Morphin, and now there's like, you know, 33 different ones. That's kind of the vision. It's like
Galaxy Troop Rangers and shit.
Yeah. We're gonna have Black Power Rangers in space. We're gonna keep it growing. Yeah.
Now, you said that you're doing another tour later this year, correct?
So this year it's gonna be, we got a show in July, and then we got 2 legs in August. We're gonna do 5 shows back to back in August, then 2 days, and then another 4 shows back to back.
Okay, got you. Now, where can everybody buy tickets?
You go blackpowerrangerscomedy.com. You can take you to the site where you can find tickets. We're also selling merch online. We got t-shirts, hats, pins, notebooks, whatever you're interested in. We got different Black Power Rangers artwork and logos on it. That's all available, blackpowerrangerscomedy.com or willsmaxwell.com/tour 2023.
Okay, dope. Now, is there anything else you guys want to promote? Anything else you guys want to talk about? We got mad time because we ain't got shit to do. We home. Anything else y'all want to promote? Anything else y'all got going on, like after the tour or later this year or anything?
No, I'm in the running for North Carolina's Funniest Good Nights Comedy Club via Helium, which is like a mass. Like Helium is like a machine for like comedy and like a network for comedy clubs. It could be a good look. We're just looking to like get a credit, like something that's like tangible to like help me get booked in other places. Not saying that I can't, but like consistently. So just looking for that. So y'all looking for that. A woman has never won the contest first place. She's always placed third. Every time a woman actually places in the finals, she's only placed third. So looking to try to shake the table on that, but no expectations, you know. You never know. But I'm feeling good about it. So definitely looking to do that. But other than that, yeah, thinking about doing like a album of some sort this year.
Oh yeah, your first comedy album, yeah.
Special, but just kind of trying to see how the chips fall because I don't want to do anything prematurely for one. But yeah, that's really the things I'm working on for real.
Okay. Will, what about you?
Yeah, if folks go to willsmaxwell.com, you already brought up Late Fear and What Did We Miss? There's 182 episodes of What Did We Miss, so you can catch up on all those. And right now, I'm the host of the podcast with Wills Maxwell Jr. That's how I got that job. And so every week we just bring on a different person, hang out with them. We take viewer questions, we do advice columns, and so I have a lot of fun with that. So yeah, that's available. All of that's on willsmaxwell.com.
All right, dope. All right, so appreciate you guys for coming by. Appreciate you guys coming.
He's so quiet. You talking about me talking? He ain't even talking.
Always quiet.
What happens is I tell these niggas we got a guest, and I do all the research, and they just sit there and look.
Plus, I just try not to I'm trying not to interrupt you guys while y'all talking, so I try not to like say too much and just let y'all do whatever it is you gotta do.
You a fucking lie. How long we been doing this shit? We've been doing this shit for like 5 years, nigga. Every goddamn guest, I do the goddamn research. And
yeah, you good at it. You see how they complimented you.
Need to do something.
Shining like a star, my guy. I'm trying to help you out.
Yeah, I swear to God, I would hit you. I swear to God.
Bro, he didn't even give us a church.
Like, yeah. One other thing. I got a question. Nothing.
No, that was a Zoom background for a second. Yeah, just look pretty. It's just Hesh.
He on backdrop duty, so he can get that IMDb credit. You want to click, bro?
Nigga, put the logo up and shut up. That's my nigga though.
No, I appreciate y'all very much, man. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate y'all meeting you and hanging out with both of y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Definitely. If y'all got anything else to promote, y'all can always, come on. Y'all can use the platform. We always looking for, anyone to come on. We have all types of guests on. So whatever y'all got going on and you want to use our audience, use our platform, be our guest. I think we got a lot of listeners in North Carolina. So, y'all pull up, yo. Dojo come out and, show support. DC, Maryland, wherever they at, it's on the website, it's on the Instagram. Show up, man.
Follow me on Instagram at _BEE original unique.
Yeah,
I got a little fragrance out and
everything in the description. We got y'all.
Yep. It was cool. Y'all be safe.
Y'all.
All right, thank you.
You
have a good one.